Welcome back to my channel, Willow, Birch, and Clover. And I wanted to do a really quick tutorial for you today. As promised, it is Tutorial Tuesday. So today we're going to do rusting paper clips or safety pins, whatever you have you want to rust. I had a viewer to leave me a comment and said she couldn't find my rusting video that I had made before some time ago. And I think the deal with that is that it was inside another video, because I looked for it also and couldn't find it. You know, like maybe it was a journal flip through or something, and I just touched briefly on this. So anyway, I'm just going to start from scratch and make another one so it'll be easy for everybody to find. I use a longer method. You know, it takes a little longer than most, but I like the results better. I've tried the shorter that some ladies explained to me in comments before and said, your method's too long, you need to try the shorter method. I tried it. I don't like it as well as this. I don't think the rust is as pretty. I just, you know, it's a preference thing. And hang on, I've got to move this phone. I've got shadows casting everywhere, even though I've got lights. I'm sorry, so just bear with me. Really quickly, I'm going to tell you how to do it and tell you what to avoid. So just write this down, because you know I'm not great on live demonstrations sometimes. I'm too lazy for that unless I'm doing a day-long filming. All right, so you're going to need your paper clips or your safety pins. You're going to need a plastic container like this, you know, to put them in. I get those Dollar Tree, 3 for $1. And you're going to need bleach, vinegar, and salt. The same that everybody else uses. It's just a little longer technique, but the rest is amazing. The first thing you're going to do is put your paper clips and your safety pins inside of your plastic container, which will have nothing in it. Just pretend like there's no clips and no paper towel in here. I'm going to take this out so I can talk to you and you won't get, I won't mess you up and have you putting a paper towel in there. Okay, look at the rust. Isn't that great? And I'm not going to, I was going to dump that out, but I'm not. I'm going to save it and I'll use it for something else. Okay, so you take your container, put your paper clips and your safety pins or whatever you're rusting, you know, spread them out in the bottom, shake it a little bit, tap it against your hand to get it flat. All right, and then you're going to take, let's pretend this is bleach. You're going to pour bleach on top until it barely covers the paper clips, whatever you've got in there, right on the top. In other words, you don't have to pour it all the way up here to the top if your paper clips stop down here. Just go right over the top of your paper clips, and that's enough. Take your lid, I use a thumbtack, or you can use a sewing needle, but poke about 4 holes, maybe 5 in the top. That's going to be for breathing, because this is a chemical reaction taking place in here, and air can build up and it'll start trying to pop your top off. So to prevent that, poke tiny holes. The air will escape and it'll still be like it's covered, because it won't just be openly exposed. Okay, sit it to the side. Here's the part that's going to shock you. Leave it for 24 hours. Sorry, but yeah, 24 hours really. What the bleach is doing is it's eating any protective coating that's on the metal you've put in here away. And it's also removing like oil from your hands, anything else that's come in contact with it. It's just preparing it to rust, okay? After 24 hours, you take your lid off, and it's gonna, you know, it may look like there's a little discoloration in the bleach that's in there, but it's not. Nothing's really happened yet. So don't be disappointed if you open it and they just look dull, you know, like paper clips without a shine. That's actually perfect. That's where you want to be. So then you can either use a plastic colander, because you don't want to use a metal one. It can corrode it. Or like a paper towel, I lay it over the top of my paper clips and I begin to drain the bleach out over my sink. And I do that until I can shake it and no more bleach comes out. You know, basically off. But I'm not gonna rinse it. No rinsing. Put your container down, and now take your vinegar and do the same thing that you did with your bleach, just over the top of your metal items, and then take 2 tablespoons of salt and sprinkle them in, okay? Put your lid on again, and this time you're gonna tap to flatten it out in there, you know, help it, don't do this. You'll have vinegar all over you. It'll come through the holes in the top. So just shake, 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 lay it out as flat as you can, and set it aside again for another 24 hours. Yes, 24 hours. Now, at the end of that time, you're gonna open it back up and do the whole draining thing again. No rinsing still, okay? When you get it drained on your countertop, what I do is I put old, this was a dish towel that my husband used to dry his hands when they had grease on them, so it was gonna go straight in the trash because it was stained up after I washed it. Don't throw it away. Keep these. These are the perfect crafting cloths to drain things on, clean up messes. They're perfect because you're not losing anything if you do end up having to throw it away. Anyway, I put that down, folded, like I take both ends and fold them towards the center. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like, it's three-folded. And I put it down. And then I do the same thing with paper towel, lay it across the top like this, and that is what I dump my drained paper clips on. Now, here's a 2 for Tuesday tutorial. At this point, they're about to start oxidizing. They're about to start drying, and it is the air that will make them begin to rust, because at this point, they don't look like anything has happened. But don't be upset about it because you think you've wasted 2 days. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they'll be fully rusted. You can actually see the process happening as they begin to dry in the open air. They may turn like a black color first or a gray color, and then all of a sudden they'll just be rusty. It's like, ta-da! But this is where you can also do some extra things. I'm gonna show you what these look like, okay? These are some pins that I did in the solution can you see that? In the solution that I just described to you. And they were actually black when I took them out of the vinegar and salt solution after I drained it off. And it took about 15 minutes before they even started rusting. But in 2 minutes, they were done then. So, somewhere around the 15-minute mark, you should be seeing some kind of rusting. I take, at this point, before they begin to start drying, pretend like this is a piece of tea-stained paper. And I have another one here and another one here. While they're still damp, before they dry out, I want the entire rusting process to happen on top of my paper. So I spread it like this. Can you see? I'll get it like this. Some of them you can leave stacked. And you may have all kinds of things in here because you may have washers, nuts, tiny bolts, paper clips. Just put some different items around. And same thing, they're gonna dry for 15 minutes. When they dry though, and you pick your paper up and dump your dried items into a storage container, you're gonna have rust stained paper. And that may not seem like a big deal right now, but just ask somebody that does eco dyeing. It takes forever out in the weather to naturally rust, and then you have to dry to keep the paper from, it's a mess, unless they use a shortcut. This is a shortcut. So you can also make rusted paper. Now, when they dry like this, they will still leave, the rust will not come off and it can't be rubbed off, but you get a residue. See that rust on my finger? I like that sometimes. I want my paper clips to leave rust marks on my journal pages because that's exactly what would happen if that journal had been in a box in an attic, a damp attic for 50 years. Any paper clips or anything that were in there would rust, and that rust would transfer onto the page. It doesn't bother me at all. I love it to have the rust marks where I paper clip. If you don't like that, when they're dry and before you put them up, you can take them outside and on a piece of cardboard, spread them out in a single layer. I use Rust-Oleum brand. It's a spray paint, but it's clear. We've talked about it before. It's the same one you use to make the tissue paper translucent, and that's about 2 videos back if you want to watch that. And you spray it in short bursts, not a long spray because that'll be too much on them. Just okay? Let it dry for about 15 minutes. Gather them up and flip it. It's called the Ultra Coat, 2 times Ultra Coat. And I use the satin because if it's too shiny, they don't look old anymore. They look fake. And to me, the rust looks real flat. I like to use the satin because it gives the rust sheen without giving the paper clip shine. That's a mouthful, but that's what it does. So that's why I like to use it. It makes the rust look richer. So you spray that side the same way, and when it dries and you gather them up to go into a storage container, now the rust won't transfer on your hands or on your journal pages. It's just up to you. It's a preference thing. I use these little containers, the same kind that I rust them in. I'll have one like this. I put a folded paper towels in the bottom because if there's any moisture left, the paper towel will absorb it and keep them from rusting completely in half. And I put its lid on, not the one with the holes, just a regular lid. And there you go. I store my paper clips, my pins, my nuts and bolts, everything in separate containers. That way when I need them, they're sorted out. I don't have to dig through them, you know? Now, let me show you what could happen if you buy the wrong paper clips. These came from Dollar Tree, the devils. I actually left these 48 hours in bleach and 48 hours in the vinegar and salt solution. And the rust powder that you see lightly on there wipes right away. See? It doesn't stay. They get shiny just like you never did anything to them. What happens is the rust that does occur with these, and I think it's because of the metal they're made out of. I thought about which metals wouldn't rust that could possibly be used on a paper clip. And you know, galvanized wire doesn't rust. And wire can be machine or hand bent into a paper clip. So maybe it's that, I think. But anyway, the only rust that forms when you plop them out on this, that's what this is, this light rust here. See, this is so much darker under it. This is just like a little light surface powder. That's what's on the surface of the paper clip. It comes right off and it's like you've done nothing. So don't waste your time. Don't buy your metal objects at Dollar Tree. Get them from Walmart or from an office supply store. You have the best results I have found every time. And once they're stored, they're ready to use then. So I hope that helps. And for the lady that asked me, I'm sorry I can't remember your name right now, but I'll go back and look so that I know. But if you have any questions, or anybody else, if you have any questions about this process, don't hesitate to message me and ask. And also, I think that's it. Yeah, and don't forget that's how you can put some rust marks on your papers too. Coffee or tea stain them first, get them dry, and then put these items wet when they're ready to oxidize after you drain the vinegar and salt off. So I hope that helps, and get to rusting, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.